Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We're breaking down chapter 148, Unbreakable.
And what a title. It asks a simple question right from the start. What can't be broken? A body? A fortress? Or is it something else?
It's something else. It's a man taking a cannonball to the chest to protect a flag that doesn't even belong to him. That's the core of this entire chapter, and maybe this entire arc. Luffy's conviction is just on another level. It's pure, it's primal, and it's completely immovable.
It's the kind of moment that defines a character forever. If you want to be here every single week as we unpack these symbols of absolute will, make sure your feed is subscribed to the Dawn. You won't want to miss where this goes.
You really won't. All right, let's get into it. The chapter kicks off at the base of Drum Rockies. Dalton is down, but he's not out. He wants to get back up to that castle.
He's the last remnant of the old kingdom's honor, and he's trying to crawl his way back up to defend it. There's something so tragic and noble about him. He failed to stop Wapol once before. He failed to protect Hiriluk. He failed to protect his people. This is his one last chance to do something.
Exactly. And Usopp, bless his heart, he sees that. He sees a fallen warrior and wants to be the one to lift him up. He tries to lift him. He gives it the big talk. I'm not going to let you down. We're going to do this. You can see the hero he wants to be. He's got the spirit for it 100%. The Captain Usopp persona is shining through.
But he doesn't have the raw strength. It's a moment of pure heart versus physical reality. We've seen this from Usopp before. Against the Black Cat Pirates, against the Fishmen, his will is immense, but his body often can't keep pace. It's the core of his struggle, and it's portrayed so perfectly here. He's grunting, he's straining, giving it all he has. And Dalton barely moves an inch.
It's hilarious, but also so relatable. And then reality walks up in the form of Rower Noah's Zoro, who just effortlessly picks Dalton up, throws him over his shoulder, and starts walking. No words, no ceremony, just gets the job done. Zoro operates on such a different wavelength. He sees a problem, he sees the most direct solution, and he executes it.
Zoro's immediate frustration is so perfect. He's not mad that Dalton is being helped. He's mad that Zoro stole his heroic moment. He shouts, "Hey, I was about to do something really cool." It's this beautifully selfish, childish reaction that is pure Usopp. He wants the narrative, the glory, the story he can tell later.
It's that classic dynamic. Usopp wants the glory, Zoro just wants the problem solved. It's such a fundamental difference in how they operate, and it's hilarious. Zoro's purpose is the end goal. Usopp's purpose is often the journey and the legend it creates. They're both essential for a pirate crew, but boy do they clash in the moment.
But the villagers point out that it's too slow. Carrying him up that mountain would take far too long. They say they can rig up a rope lift in about 30 minutes, a practical solution from the people who live here.
Yeah, but then one of them says they're out of rope, except not quite. Just when you think there's a solution, the hope is snatched away again.
No. Another villager mentions they found a strange rope, a white rope, tied to a tree near Gyasta.
Which is right where Dr. Kureha was last seen. That detail just hangs there, a white rope tied to a tree. It's one of those little details that just makes the hairs on your arm stand up.
It feels deliberate. That kind of detail doesn't feel random. Why specify the color? White, in a land of pure white snow. It suggests it's not a natural fiber from the island. Why mention it was just tied to a tree as if left there? It feels less like a tool that was used and more like a scene that was abandoned.
My first thought was, did Kureha use it to get down? But that doesn't feel right. Kureha doesn't seem like the type to just leave her gear lying around. She's precise. She's intentional. It's too specific. It's a loose thread, and it feels like it's attached to something grim. Maybe it's not from her at all.
I agree. It has the feeling of a clue we don't have the context for yet. Is it a remnant of Wapol's men setting a trap? Did someone try to hang themselves? This is a desperate island. Or is it something else entirely, related to the island's wildlife? The Lapins, perhaps. I know they're intelligent. It's a question mark just left dangling in the air.
A dangling white rope. Chilling. Okay, let's put a pin in that, because things shift to the top of the mountain.
And oh, do they ever. We're on the castle roof. Wapol is standing there, looking at Hiriluk's flag, and he just completely misses the point. He has no capacity to understand what he's looking at.
He calls it a stupid decoration. To him, a flag is nothing. It's a piece of cloth you plant when you conquer something. It has no inherent meaning. It's a symbol of ownership, not of belief. It's the most materialistic, soulless interpretation of a symbol you could possibly have.
It speaks volumes about his character. He's a king who doesn't understand the soul of his own kingdom. The flag represents a dream for a better future, the very thing he stamped out when he outlawed doctors. To him, a dream is just a foolish distraction from power and consumption.
He just does not get it, and Luffy just immediately calls him out. Hey you, what are you doing to that flag? He doesn't even know whose flag it is, but he knows a flag is important. He tells him a flag isn't something to be underestimated.
Wapol's response is pure ego. I'm the king. I don't bow to a flag. He sees it as a challenge to his authority, which in a way it is. The flag represents a will that is not his own. It's the lingering ghost of Hiriluk's defiance, a ghost he thought he'd exorcised.
So he does the most Wapol thing possible. He aims a cannon at it. A cannon to shoot a flag. The pettiness is off the charts. It's not enough to take it down. It has to be obliterated. He needs to use overwhelming, disproportionate force to erase a piece of cloth because he's that insecure.
He's trying to destroy the symbol, to erase Hiriluk's memory and defiance from the island entirely. In his mind, if the symbol is gone, the idea is gone. He fundamentally misunderstands how ideas work.
But he makes one critical miscalculation. He thinks he's just aiming at a flag. He's not. He's aiming at Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy doesn't even hesitate. He sees the cannon, sees where it's aimed, and knows exactly what he has to do.
The cannon fires. The shot is perfect, and Luffy just stands there. He doesn't move, he doesn't stretch or dodge or deflect it. He plants his feet.
He takes the full force of a cannonball, point blank, right to the torso. The impact is just incredible. You can see his body just absorb the hit, caving in. He braces, gets blasted back, but he keeps his feet planted between the cannonball and the flagpole. His sandals literally dig into the stone of the castle.
He becomes a human shield for someone else's symbol of faith. He has no personal connection to the cherry blossom's skull and crossbones. He met Chopper 5 minutes ago. He's never met Hiriluk. But in that moment, he understands that this symbol is someone's treasure. And for Luffy, that's all the reason he needs. It's a foundational principle of his entire being.
Super. That is it. That's the moment. He doesn't know Hiriluk. He doesn't know the full story. He just sees a flag, understands that it means everything to someone, and puts his life on the line for it without a second of hesitation. This is the guy who defended a treasure chest he thought was empty because it was Gaiman's treasure. This is the guy who defended a dog's pet food store because it was Chow Chow's treasure. This is that same instinct magnified by 1,000.
He says it himself. This is a symbol of faith. It will never be broken. It's not a boast. It's a statement of fact about the world he lives in. This is a fundamental law of nature to Luffy. You don't break a man's flag. You don't trample on his dream. It's as absolute to him as gravity.
That's exactly the kind of thing that makes Luffy terrifying. It's not just about his strength. It's his absolute, unshakable conviction. It's an ideological purity that villains like Wapol literally cannot comprehend. It doesn't compute. Wapol sees a rubber boy being stupid. He can't see a man making a stand for an ideal. Luffy doesn't just protect his friends, he protects the very idea of what a friend stands for.
And Chopper is watching all of this. He's seeing it all. He just saw a pirate, a figure he's been taught to fear, embody the very ideals his father figure Hiriluk told him about.
Hiriluk's description of pirates being great. This is it. This is the living proof. Luffy laughs, this big open-mouthed laugh, with smoke pouring off of him from the heat of the cannonball, holding this flag flag that isn't even his. It's the laugh of a man who faced obliteration and found it amusing.
It's the visual confirmation of everything Hiriluk believed. Hiriluk saw in the symbol of the pirate, the Jolly Roger, a sign of freedom and the will to follow a dream, even to one's death. Luffy is that ideal made flesh, and it's the moment that rewires Chopper's brain.
Pirates aren't just one thing. This pirate is different. This one might be a hero.
Luffy basically tells Chopper, I'm about to clean house. What are you gonna do? He's not telling him to fight. He's not recruiting him. He's asking him to make a choice, to stand for something. He's passing the torch of conviction right to him.
Wapol, of course, just doubles down. He can't process what he just saw, so he defaults to threats. He screams that if they want to protect the flag, they'll die with it. Pure bluster.
And that's Sanji's cue. He hears that, sees his captain and this kid in trouble, and he's off. He makes a move to rush Wapol. The protector of the crew, he's not going to let his captain stand alone.
But he gets nowhere. Dr. Correa just slams him flat into the snow with her boot on his back. A clean, efficient, and brutal takedown.
For a second, you're like, what is she doing? Is she on Wapol's side? But then she explains it. His spine is dislocated. He is, in her medical opinion, a complete mess.
Think about what he just did. He climbed a vertical, icy cliff face with 2 people on his back. The physical toll of that is immense. Correa isn't being cruel. She's being a doctor. She's stopping him from crippling himself permanently. She sees a patient acting against his own best interests, and she immobilizes him.
It's that pragmatic medical sense she has. Don't move, you idiot, you'll die. It's her version of, I care about you. She knows he's a fighter, but she also knows his body has limits. It also serves the story perfectly.
It isolates the conflict. This isn't a full crew brawl. Zoro and Usopp are at the bottom of the mountain. Sanji is incapacitated. Nami is unconscious. The stakes are now entirely on Luffy and Chopper. There are no reinforcements coming for them. It's these two against the former king and his elite guard.
Wapol is laughing his head off, thinking he's got this in the bag. He sees Sanji go down and thinks Correa is on his side. What an idiot. He sends Marimo after Chopper, and the guy just starts laying into him verbally.
Calling him a snow monster, a creature with no friends. It's textbook bullying. He's trying to hit Chopper right where he's most vulnerable. His life of isolation and being branded a monster by both humans and reindeer. These aren't random insults. I think they are the exact words that have haunted Chopper his entire life.
It's vile. He's kicking a kid who's been kicked his whole life. But Chopper's response is incredible. He doesn't deny being a creature. He doesn't say, I'm not a monster. He just says, as long as Hiriluk's flag is there, I will fight. He accepts the premise of their insult, but rejects their conclusion.
His resolve is hardening in real time. Before, he was just defending the castle out of duty. Now, after seeing Luffy stand, he's found something to anchor himself to. The flag is no longer just a memory of his father. It's a living symbol of conviction, defended by this new person. It has new meaning, but it's what happens next that changes everything.
Luffy just drops down from the top of the tower. He lands right there in the snow, looks at Marimo, and says the single most powerful thing he could possibly say. It's not a threat. It's not a boast.
I'm his friend.
That's it. That's the whole ball game. In 4 words, Luffy just demolished a lifetime of loneliness and pain for Chopper. He didn't just offer friendship. He declared it as a fact to an enemy. He's not asking for Chopper's approval. He's stating a truth of the world as he sees it. This monster is my friend, and you are hurting my friend.
This is the acceptance Chopper has been searching for his entire life, not just from a doctor who pitied him, but from someone who sees him, monster and all, and calls him a friend without hesitation. Hiriluk gave him a name in a home, but Luffy gave him a place in the world. He just drew a circle around the two of them and dared anyone to cross it.
You can just see it in his eyes. The fog clears from his head and all the uncertainty is just gone. He says, I'm not confused anymore. All that doubt, all that fear of being a monster, it's just gone, replaced by pure purpose. The question of what am I has been answered. He is a friend.
Correa sees it too. She holds Sanji down and says something very telling. Even I can't stop him when he's serious. This isn't a boast on Chopper's behalf. It's a doctor's diagnosis. She knows the side of him. She's seen the storm that's brewing inside him.
This isn't just a scared kid anymore. This is someone who has found his reason to fight. She knows what he's capable of. She trained him. She taught him medicine. And I have to think in doing so, she must have seen the other side of him, the power he wields with his devil fruit.
And Chopper claims his own identity. He stands up tall and tells them his name was given to him by the greatest doctor in the world. He's not just a monster. He is Tony Chopper, Hiriluk's son. He's taking ownership of the name, the legacy, all of it.
And he says Hiriluk forgave them for laughing at his life, but he won't. He won't forgive them for laughing at his death. The line is drawn. That's such a critical distinction. It shows that he understands and honors his father's spirit, but he's not a carbon copy of him.
It's the difference between the two of them. Hiriluk was a pacifist at his core. His final battle was fought with words and a grand final gesture. Chopper is not. He has his father's kindness, but he also has his own fury. He's the legacy of a gentle man, but he is also a Zoan, a creature of instinct and power.
Chess Marimo is still talking trash, still hasn't realized the ground has shifted beneath his feet, but Chopper just cuts him off. He reaches into his little bag
and pulls out a small black pill-like object, a rumble ball.
The name alone is just perfect. You know exactly what that thing is for. It's not a healing ball or a calming pill. It's a rumble ball. It's for causing trouble. It's for a fight.
And that's where we leave it, with this unknown variable introduced right at the peak of the emotional climax. We know he's a Zoan user, and we know they typically have 3 forms: human, animal, and hybrid. But this implies something more. This implies he has a level of control over his transformation, a scientific mastery over his own devil fruit that we have never seen before.
It's such a classic move in a story like this. You build the emotional stakes to a fever pitch, validate a character's entire existence, give them a reason to fight, and then introduce a completely new power mechanic right on top of it. It's just masterful. The emotional payoff and the battle system payoff are happening at the exact same time.
Before we get to predictions, let's touch on Oda's author comment for the week.
Right. He says a staff member came back from Hawaii with cigars and it helped them do a first-class job. I just love the image of the whole drawing team in the middle of this incredibly tense and emotional chapter, just kicking back with cigars like they're in some old gangster movie, storyboarding Luffy taking a cannonball to the gut.
It's a wonderful contrast, the levity of the creation process versus the weight of the story itself. It's a good reminder that these epic moments are born from late nights, hard work, and maybe the occasional celebratory cigar.
Absolutely. This chapter was all weight, all heart. Luffy's speech, Chopper's resolve, just incredible. One of the chapters that really defines what One Piece is all about.
If you think Chopper is about to unleash something completely new, let us know what you think the Rumble Ball actually does in the comments. We'd love to hear your theories.
All right, prediction time. What do you have for chapter 149?
My first prediction is that the Rumble Ball isn't just one transformation. It's a key that unlocks multiple specialized forms. He's a doctor. This is a scientific creation, a feat of pharmacology applied to devil fruit powers. I think we'll see him strategically shift between forms, one for defense, one for speed, maybe one for pure power. It's not just going to be Chopper gets big. It will be a display of intellect and control. He's a doctor first, and his fighting style will reflect that precision.
I love that. A whole new fighting style based on medical science. Okay, my first one. Luffy's fight with Wapol is going to directly mirror this theme of conviction. Wapol is going to use his Munch Munch fruit to try and literally eat the castle, the symbol of the kingdom. He consumes things to make them part of himself. It's the ultimate act of selfish conquest. And Luffy is going to stop him not just by punching him, but by proving that a person's will is more durable than anything Wapol can consume. The final blow will send him flying off the island, proving that this land, this will, has rejected him utterly.
That feels right. A thematic victory, not just a physical one. My second prediction is about that white rope. I think we're going to find out what it was. My theory is that it belongs to the Lapans, the giant snow rabbits. We saw them attack Luffy, but we also know they were Hiriluk's friends. Perhaps they used the rope to help Kureha get down the mountain after she treated Nami and Sanji, a sign of their allegiance. Or maybe it's a trap left by Wapol's forces that she dismantled. Either way, that detail will be resolved and it will connect back to the island's wildlife, showing that the will of the island itself is against Wapol.
Ooh, good call. That feels like a classic breadcrumb. It has to pay off. Okay, my final prediction. Nami is going to wake up. She's been out for a while and Kureha has had time to work for medical magic. I think she's going to wake up right at the climax of the fight, look out the window, and see Luffy, beaten and bruised, still standing guard over Hiriluk's flag, while Chopper is in some new monstrous form fighting for his life. And that's when it will fully click for her what kind of captain she's sailing with. It's one thing to see him fight for her village, it's another to see him fight this hard for a stranger's memory.
I like that a lot. It would be a powerful character moment for her, seeing that level of ideological purity firsthand. It would cement her loyalty in a way that goes beyond just debt or friendship. It would be a moment of profound respect. Okay, one more from me, a small one. When Chopper transforms, Kureha will name the form out loud, establishing the new terminology for his powers. She'll say something like, "So, the boy's using his heavy point," as a way of explaining it to Sanji and to the audience.
I'll piggyback on that with my own small one. I bet we'll see a form where he just gets big and hits hard, something like a heavy point. And maybe another where he gets smarter and can find an enemy's weak spot, like a doctor diagnosing a patient. Maybe a brain point or something. It's gonna be so cool to see a Zoan user fight with that much versatility.
I would not bet against that. It's all set up for a massive payoff. The emotional catharsis and the introduction of a brand new Straw Hat fighting style.
It absolutely is. And we will be right here next week to break it all down. For Nico Robin, I'm Franky. This has been Inherited Dawn. See you on the high seas.